Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we have another watch review. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Breitling Chronomat. In particular, this is a special edition. This is, I believe, one of about 200 pieces for the US market, and as part of that you get that beautiful blue dial. I'm over again visiting my friends at Bernard Watch, and as you guys know, if you've watched my channel for any length of time, you will know that I've owned many Breitlings and do definitely have a fascination and an appreciation for them. I'm much more, I would say, of a Navitimer fan, although I definitely do appreciate the Chronomat. And this is a beautiful watch, and there's many things I'm going to say about it, but I'm also going to tell you why you guys should not buy one of these things new. Before we get there, let's go ahead and take a look at this piece. Breitling has a long storied history, but I think it's safe to say the only watch that a lot of people really identify them with is the Navitimer. A lot of their other watches, they definitely have a following, and they're definitely what keeps the brand running. But the icon is certainly the Navitimer. But what a lot of people don't recognize is part of the reason Breitling is still in business today is because of this model, the Chronomat. This is by far, to my understanding, their best seller. And as you know, other icons in their brand, including the Avenger, the Super Avenger, the Colt, and the BO1 series, have really kept them around and afloat. And this being the bulk of their business, this is the watch they have to get right. And what a lot of people either love or hate about Breitling is embodied in this particular model, and that is that they're very much, super high polished watches that are, look at me in your face style. And there's definitely those that really appreciate those features of a watch, and those that like a more subdued look. But love it or hate it, you would always know that this is a Breitling, and as with any Breitling, it is meticulously made and a really high quality piece. And I really do like this watch, but again, I'm going to tell you why you guys should not consider buying one of these new. But before we get there, let's take a look at what makes this watch so special. So again, this is a limited edition, one of 200. You get that beautiful blue dial. This is a newer Chronomat, which means it's special because it has the new Breitling in-house movement in it, the BO1. Well, I shouldn't say it's new. It's been out there for a few years now. But as you guys know, I've always been a big in-house snob, and it's been nice to see in the last several years that many brands have stepped up their game and offered many more in-house options. Chronomats of yore would have featured a derivative of the ETA or Valjoux 7750, which is a great workhorse movement in its own right, but it's pretty ubiquitous, and it's not exactly what you would think of when it comes to hot horology. I say this wearing my PAM 187 today, which also features a Valjoux 7750 in it. But again, they wanted to step up their game, and they came out with the BO1 movement. And the BO1 movement is really a masterpiece. I will say that much for it for sure. And it's my understanding a lot of the designers that worked on the 4130 movement for Rolex and their new Daytona, when they went in-house and left the Zenith behind, are actually ones that worked on this movement. And there's many articles you can read online that tout praises for this movement series, and many claim it's actually superior to the Rolex 4130 equivalent. Whether or not you believe that's debatable, but what is not debatable is this is a tremendous movement. Looking at this dial, you wouldn't realize it had the BO1 in it because it has traditional seconds at 9 like you would see in the Valjoux derivatives. But this is in-house, and it is a high quality movement. Unfortunately, the case back is solid. I can't show it to you, but it is quite a pretty movement, and you can see it exhibited on some of their other watches that exhibit case backs. In short, it's a vertical clutch chronograph, and it's also a column mill chronograph. Those are features usually you'd only see embodied on much higher end watches, features you definitely would not see on a bare bones 7750. This watch is known for its precision, it's known for its good power reserve, and in general just being a solid movement. They've had a couple years to get it right now, and it's definitely showing itself well. As with all Breitlings, the case, again, as I mentioned, comes high polished. As you can see, this is a new watch, so it still has the wrapping on it, but you definitely get the same lovely high quality Breitling bracelets. I've said before, and I'll say it again, I think Breitling makes the best bracelets in the industry. As with most Breitlings and the Chronomats in particular, you get this nice little onion crown and the set of pushers, which are screw down. I'll show you in a sec. As you may have seen too, you'll see a little bit of a bluish hue on the dial. That's actually from the sapphire crystal that has an anti-reflective coating, something that Breitling's been doing for years. One thing that I'd say dislike about that coating and the ones that I've owned is over time it tends to get scratched, and it shows scratches pretty badly, but that's an easy fix. In general, I do like that it's coated, and I do love that bluish tint. Newer anti-reflective coatings don't have this tint, but I actually do like the blue tint. I think it's something kind of cool. So you're looking at a watch, I believe this watch is about 43 millimeters, and there's a nice little luminous dot up here at 6 o'clock. It does have a typical rotating bezel, no different than one you would typically see on a dive watch. So it's great. You can just line it up over here at the minute hand, and you can keep track easily of elapsed time. But of course, this being a chronograph, there is also another way to keep track of it, and that is with the chronograph itself. So you do have a 30-minute totalizer here at 3 o'clock. You also have a 12-hour totalizer here at 6. To set the chronograph, all you need to do is unscrew the pushers, and they're threaded. This is exactly like you would see on a Rolex Daytona, for example. You just unscrew them out like this. They're screwed down for water tightness, in case those of you are curious. And traditionally, as with most chronographs, push down the top pusher to start the chronograph, also to pause it, and the bottom pusher resets it. Now, one nice thing about this chronograph in comparison to, say, the 4130 equivalent in the Rolex Daytona is you get a date down here. And to some of you watching, that may not seem like a really big deal, but as a former owner of a Rolex Daytona, I can tell you I didn't think it was a big deal until I wore that watch daily for quite a while, and not having a date there really bothered me. And I know we live in an age of cell phones where checking the date is pretty easy, but I definitely did miss having a date, and I'm really happy to see that Breitling put it on this watch. There's several different iterations of the Chronomat. You can also get a GMT version, of course, and there's different dial configurations with different numerical layouts and how you want them to be printed. This is simple hash marks, again, with this blue dial. They do come in different dial colors as well. But overall, it's a beautiful watch. It has the screw-out links, as you would expect on a Breitling, as the traditional older style Breitling clasp with the traditional fold-over snaps and the safety. And apologize, this watch is so shiny. My camera doesn't like focusing on it, but there is a nice little raised B logo there. This one's a little harder to open only because it still has the protective wrapping on it, so otherwise these things are extremely fluid. The case back here, I don't want to show it too closely because the serial number's on it, but it is a solid case back, but it is marked for the special edition. So again, overall, it's a beautiful watch. I'll give you a wrist shot here. And so the question is going to be, of course, well, why wouldn't I want to buy one of these things new? Apologize, let me snap this in. And the reason is you have to think about it like this. So this watch new retails for over $9,000. And in the context of a Rolex Daytona, $9,000 is perfectly reasonable if you think about the fact that the Daytona costs more in stainless steel. It's harder to get a hold of, and again, according to some, has an inferior movement in it to the B01. The problem with paying $9,000 for this watch is two problems. One is if you buy this watch versus a Rolex Daytona, this watch is going to plummet in value. A Daytona is going to hold its own and likely increase in value over the years. This watch you paid over $9,000 for is going to be worth, you know, $4 or $5 right afterwards. And the problem is if you buy one of these things new for the movement, well, Rolex has gotten them beat now. So as you guys may have read, Rolex and Breitling have struck up an agreement to share movements and technology. Breitling is using some Tudor in-house movements now, and Tudor has benefited in the new Black Bay Chrono, which, as you can see my review on the channel, I'll post a link to here, and I'll also show you a little bit of it here as well. The Black Bay Chrono has a Breitling sourced B series movement in it. Extending Chrono can be picked up for basically almost half, plus or minus. So when it comes to new value, you have to decide whether or not you're willing to pay twice as much money for the same movement in the same watch. And Tudor being a part of Rolex is going to have better resale going forward. You buy that Tudor now, it is of course going to lose some value, but it's going to maintain its value far better than the Breitling. And you consider you're getting the same movement in a watch with the same features for half the price with better resale. This Breitling new is a very tough sell. Now, I do have to say though, I am a fan of this watch, and if you buy one of these things used, then I think it's a very different value equation, because then it's almost on equal terms with that Tudor Chrono. And at that case, if you prefer the style of this watch, and this watch is for sale now at Bernard Watch, this watch is now equally priced or similarly priced to a Tudor Black Bay Chrono, excuse me. So at that point, the value proposition is much more equal. Buying one of these things used to me is the only way to buy one of these. Buying them from a reputable dealer like Bernard Watch at a used or a new gray market price, I think is the way to go. You're going to get it for much closer to what it's actually going to be saleable for, and it puts it in the realm of watches that it competes with, like the Tudor Black Bay. So nothing against this watch. I like this watch a lot, and I would definitely recommend, if you're interested in this watch, to pick this one up. But I'd recommend you do so from a watch company like Bernard, or you can get it for a much fairer price than you would pay new. I truly feel sorry for those individuals that buy one of these things new for full retail. Again, you're paying twice as much money for equivalent spec watch, and for whatever reason, Breitling and resale value have never gone together well outside of the Navitimer. So there you go, guys. That's my short take on the Chronomat. It's a fantastic watch. It really is. I think if you bought one, you would be very, very happy with it for many years to come. But I would not buy one new. I would highly, strongly recommend against it. I would definitely buy one used from a company like Bernard Watch, or I would also cross-shop it with its competitors. And right now, Rolex has the best competitor to this watch in the Tudor Black Bay Chrono. And I think it'd be a tough choice between the two. So as always, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this review. Thanks again to Bernard Watch for having me out here at this time. Please let me know what you guys think below. Would you guys consider paying full retail for a watch like this? Would you consider paying extra for a United special edition of this watch? And would you guys consider buying this over the equivalent Tudor Black Bay at the same price? I'd really be interested in your thoughts below. These are just my opinions, and I'd love to hear your take. So as always, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Hope you're having an awesome day. Please subscribe, leave your comments below, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Take care.